yard and heading to another, purely because I've had a couple of conversations recently about behind the vertical, or roller, you might want to say. And it seems to come to light to me that people are so concentrating on the dressage formula of having the pole high, right? And what people are saying is that if the pole comes low, or the pole isn't the highest point, then they're likely to be behind the vertical. It's not really the point in my book, because I come obviously from a retraining, rehab point of view, and if all you want to do is get the pole high, that doesn't mean that the horse isn't still going to be able to come behind the vertical. Okay, so we're going to start talking about the break at the third vertebrae, yeah? And when you talk about the break at the third vertebrae, you might be talking months and months of rehab, because we have to, those ligaments that have stretched that allow that vertebrae to break, or we break over at the second, third vertebrae, those ligaments are so stretched, you can't do that in 6 weeks. You really can't. You don't know how long that horse has been ridden like that. You don't know what kind of crank, possibly noseband, has been on that thing. You don't know what kind of chambon or training aid or whatever has been on that. So we're not just talking about downhill on the forehand. We're not talking like not enough weight on the hind quarters, too much weight on the fore quarters. This is much more than that. We're talking about the whole horse's top line when it comes to a horse that has been ridden behind the vertical or overbent at the third vertebrae for any length of time. You're also going to have real trouble with the tongue, with the hyoid operators. You're going to have sensitivity around the nose more than likely, because so these types of horses have usually been ridden possibly in a double, possibly in a crank nose band, possibly with training aids from a very young age. Now, what I'm trying to say is that a couple of clients recently that I've spoken to, because I also go and massage other horses clients that are in rehab. Okay, so the horses are in rehab with them, and I go and help them. And I also have my own horses that come to rehab, and I know this because I have done it countless times. Okay, not so recently in my own yard. Don't seem to be picking up very many rehab horses in my own yard at the moment, but that really suits me because I'm so busy out on the road. I've just got one in, and that's perfect, because then I've got my own 3 to be doing as well. So I've got plenty on. Don't come giving me extra work because of this video. You can slate me, you can question me, you can do whatever you like. You know, I'm very much open for all professionals and horse owners and grooms and riders to have open conversation about these things, because it's the only way we're going to get it out there. Absolutely the only way we're going to get it out there. And I had a lovely conversation, as I always do. I'm just going off on a tangent, with a fantastic international trainer yesterday. I massaged his horse, and we always have the best conversations. And twice this has come up for us now, where we're saying actually we have a we must get our voice out there, you know, and it's quite hard because as a professional and trainer, sometimes you put your head on the line. And what we're saying is, or what I turn around and said is that we do have a heavy weight to carry, because we must tell owners, we must tell trainers that we think, oh, they're much more superior than us. Like, I can't say this. Like, what would they think of me if I said this? So, for instance, somebody I saw broke a horse the other day, or re-broke a horse, and fabulous little riders, and I was quite impressed how they'd re-broken this little horse. But I looked at the tack and I was thinking, how the hell? Now, how, or what kind of person am I to turn around and say, well, great job, but what about your tack? Like, look at the bit. Like, you know, it's just, but I have got to start saying these things more and more and more. And it's really hard when I'm talking to a top trainer and somebody that rides at a much higher standard than me, because I hardly ever ride anymore, let alone blooming. Sorry, I just got a text and it's taking me off track. You know, I'm not out competing, so when people are out competing, I think, oh, who am I to say this? But I have to say it. If you don't like it, then at least I've said it, because some of this stuff now is becoming a welfare issue. It really is, and it just highlights how we have to speak up about these things. So, overbent at the third vertebrae, yeah. Now, some people are starting to say, well, if you just get the pole higher, Jesus Christ, this horse cannot take its pole higher. These horses that are overbent at the third vertebrae, put my neck on the line, you can't do it. Because I'm telling you, when you ask the horse for contact, which again in its own right is freaking wrong, you must request the horse takes the contact. Because if you try and get the horse to take the contact, yeah, you're taking the contact, he's going to go straight there again, straight there. So we have to get the horse's nose, head, neck to stretch out and forward. And do you know why we're doing that? Fuck all to do with the contact to start with. We're doing that so the horse can begin to find its own natural rhythm again, its own natural balance again. And I tell you, this is a hard feat, because these horses have probably been held up. Yeah, they've probably shorter in their stride. Their balance is going to have been all off key, and what we're going to have to do is get their head and neck out in front, head, neck, nose, and so that the horse can learn to rebalance itself in that frame. This is my mind, yeah. I go and work for other rehab yards, they have a different concept. And I will still work and I will still help, and for that hour when I'm working on that horse, I will do all I can, and I will put in all the input that I can. Now it sounds like I'm having a moan, but to be fair, I'm not having a moan at any trainer that I work with, because if I didn't want to work with them, I wouldn't work with them. So this is not, you know, nothing like that at all. And I am always open and ready for listening and learning, hearing other people's opinions, other people's views, and I think that we all should a lot more as well, because otherwise it becomes a thing like, oh, I better not say that because I might offend them. Well, to be honest, if it's offensive, then either I've put it across wrong, which is very like me, I've put it across, that's why I don't like to blow my trumpet, because when I do, I seem to put it across wrong. So, I mustn't put it across wrong, but also, if they need to go back to their trainer or find another therapist, and the other therapist says, no, I don't agree with that, or, you know, something like that, then we all need to be talking openly about it, really, don't we? So, even if I'm wrong, I will hold my hand up if somebody else can prove me right. But I know, because I've done it and I've seen it, and I've done it many times with horses. So, as soon as you've got the head and the neck out, yeah, and they're balanced, then they'll start to step under and engage a lot better, yeah. So as soon as they are strong enough to hold that frame and they can lift themselves off the forehand in that frame, which is another thing that people get very muddled. They think, oh well, if their head and neck are down, then they're going to be on the forehand. No, because the hocks are stepping under for longer. The hocks are going to be under and in front, underneath the horse, in front, rather than trailing out the back, which is where you see most hocks, which is what you don't want. So as soon as the horse can push properly, then, and there's some techniques that I can show you as a massage therapist, if I'm your therapist, what you do to help that in a static position. But there's nothing better than, you know, the horse in movement to be able to get this into its own body, yeah. Then it will start to lift the forehand. Only then can we request the horse starts taking contact. And I would 100% recommend that you do this from the ground, yeah, from the ground, in hand stuff, yeah. And the horse must take the contact. You're not taking the contact, you're not, whatever other way that you could use to describe it, yeah. The horse is taking the contact, because as soon as you take the contact yourself, you'll be straight back there and you'll just be unraveling everything that you've done. So it takes careful handling. It takes a rider that never ever ever falls behind the movement, ever. If you fall behind the movement, you'll be back there again. It takes a rider that does not grind down in their seat and lean back. It takes a rider that is very stable with their hands, that continue to give. So even when the horse takes it, you can hold that balance and you can give it. So yeah, but any questions, just let me know. Gotta keep moving, gotta keep moving onwards.